We are back on the mat, 1650 The Fan, KCNZ. I'm Kyle Klingman of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum, joined by Doug Van Gelder. And we're actually knocking on the IOC's door, and the times there are changing, Doug.
And they opened it.
They opened it for us. It was a great weekend for the sport, but a lot of work to do. We're going to talk about what took place in that weekend with someone I like a lot, Noel Thompson. He is a board of governor for the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So in a lot of ways, I work for this guy because he's part of our board of governors. He's part of the CPOW Committee for the Preservation of Olympic Wrestling. He's also the women's team leader for the world team. Noel Thompson, welcome to the program.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me. Thank you very much for having me, Colin. By the way, I work for you.
Well, hey, if that's the case, I'm going to have a little meeting with you pretty soon.
Excellent.
We'll get you to Waterloo. We'll put you to work right away. But
I love it.
I mean, this is an exciting time. I mean, we can't take it for granted. I know that, but I want to talk about what went into this. I just want to kind of give you my feelings. So as I'm watching the online broadcast, and you were in Buenos Aires watching the decision, there's a great picture of you standing up. It looks like you just won an Olympic title. Going into it, I felt good, but then when I watched the politics of it, I started saying, wow, these guys don't really live in the world of wrestling. Maybe they don't see it the way we do. What was it like being on the ground there in Buenos Aires, seeing this all play out?
Well, I tell you, it's definitely a political atmosphere at IOC. It's not a straight, wrestling match where, you see the takedown, you get a score. There are a bunch of different things at play and interests at play. So doing the right thing, which was done this time, doesn't necessarily always happen, right? And that's what kind of put us in this predicament in the first place. And the great thing about this is that we really strategically covered as many possible bases that we possibly could have and really put a tenacious effort into making sure we got the W. So, even though we won by one vote over the majority, I think going in the last 3 weeks, we still had 30 people that we still had to touch, right? From New York to which we hosted a UN event for Jacques Rogue and 20 IOC members, to going to the World Judo Championships and then heading into Buenos Aires to make sure President Noel had a chance to have conversations with the folks he didn't have conversations with. So, I mean, this was a true wrestling match. It really went down to the last 30 seconds. And, I think going into the vote, we felt we had 60 votes and then we got 49, which was one over the majority. And the reason why that's a big deal is because if we were under that majority, it would have went into the second round, and there were different politics would have been at play between us and possibly baseball in the second round. So we had to get the Mike Tyson knockout first round, and be aggressive and really step on the gas. And I think CPOW, USA Wrestling, Russian Federation, the Nalalovich, everyone, I mean, the grassroots effort of marketing, campaigning, I mean, every little bit helped. This vote was won by everyone. I think every person sending an email, every person shaking a hand, I mean, it really added up, man. And, life is won in inches and seconds. So are wrestling matches, and we got the W. So, we kept the tenacity like Dan Gable would.
So you really think that the IOC heard wrestling's voice? I mean, you think it got out there and that the work people did on social media and got it out there at the Take a Stance campaign, you think they actually heard that and it was a little bit above politics?
Absolutely. I think they heard it, but at the same time, I think when it comes down to the IOC, there are politics at play, meaning, there's reasons why folks vote for baseball and squash, not based on, they like the sport, it's based on other objectives, right? Because there's other people that are also running for other positions. The great thing I tell you is that every single executive board member voted for wrestling, and those are the same people who did not vote for wrestling. And I think that was tremendous to see the leadership at the executive board level really come to our aid at the time of need. I mean, you got 90 plus, 95, I think, folks voted. I mean, you had to get every vote counted. It was a total Iowa straw poll. You guys know.
Yeah.
I mean, it every vote counted. And if I say, my gold star would go to Nanalovic, because at the end, in crunch time, when you had to hit a jump shot, you got it done. I mean, his one vote was the difference, of us winning. And, there are some swing countries in there that really, I think getting rid of Raffi Martinetti, the Swiss, they all voted for wrestling. If Martinetti was there, they wouldn't have voted for wrestling. We would have lost. So that's, this was really a global effort. I mean, the Russians, we even had the sheikhs in the Middle East involved helping us. And I mean, I'm really proud of all the folks, that really the last 7 months, really put time and effort into making sure, the 30 million plus wrestlers around the world, have a dream and a reality in the future to strive for in the Olympic Games.
Talk about Noel Thompson. He is a member of the Committee for the Preservation of Olympic Wrestling. He is the 2013 Women's Freestyle World Team Leader, and we're talking about this historic decision that wrestling is back in the Olympics through 2024. And as we talk about the politics, we talk about the vote. How much do you think those presentations mattered and how those people voted? Do you think they knew what they were going to vote coming in, or do you think the wrestling presentation may have swayed some people?
Well, I think the IOC gets the presentation in advance. I think we had a rock star presentation. The only thing with the presentation was it had to be a good presentation so it didn't hurt us, right? So that was the most important thing, right? So the presentation did what it's supposed to do in terms of making sure that we are presentable to the world. And I think after the presentation, the questions that were asked, and we got some pretty tough questions after that, and leadership being able to stay there and hold their stance. It's like, 10 seconds to go, there's constantly shooting single leg and double attacks. You got to stay in your stance and good defense. And that's why that presentation was important, because that was our last 10 seconds of defense. Going in, we knew what votes we would have, but we could not break down and give up a takedown because of a mistake. So that presentation definitely was tremendous.
I got to commend a guy that you know well, and we just had on the program a few weeks ago, Billy Baldwin. I mean, here's a guy that has led the charge from a kind of a celebrity point of view. He goes down to Buenos Aires and is part of this. How much of a difference do you think he meant in all of this?
I think he made a great difference. I think everybody made a difference. I think Billy showing up, every little bit of star power helps. I think squash pulled out not even squash guys, 2 tennis guys to kind of endorse them. So having Billy in the house was huge. Having him in front of the cameras was cool. But, these guys, what you got to understand about the IOC is that they are the nobles. So they don't really need anything from us, right? As a sport, remember, they govern all sports. So there's a lot. I mean, every stop we could possibly pull out, I could tell you, going into the decision, we felt like there's nothing else we could do. I mean, we helped engineer an event that created a day for mankind that will be observed by sports starting April 6th at the UN right before. I mean, there were just so many big things done that it's just impossible. We created an unbelievable marketing campaign. I mean, globally, take a stance. Bringing out actors, Billy Baldwin. There's nothing else we could have possibly done to win. Absolutely nothing else. And we got it done. So I think, even the little girl who stands up and says, "I love wrestling," helps. Everybody.
Talking Noel Thompson. He is a member of the Committee for the Preservation of Olympic Wrestling. He was in Buenos Aires for the historic vote. Wrestling is in the Olympics through 2024. I want to talk about what happened, what transpired when that announcement took place. We had a group here, and we were absolutely ecstatic. I saw the picture that I mentioned earlier. I have to believe that for you guys, this had to feel as good as any feeling in your life.
Oh, man, that was definitely one of the top 5 moments of my life. Being able to see wrestling get the gold medal. And the funny thing is that they drew number 8, which happened to be my favorite number, and there was a field board member sitting behind me. We were talking about number 8 the day before. I was like, this has got to be our day. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And, you know, we got it done. I mean, the presentation, everyone, I mean, it was just a job well done by global team effort. I mean, you know, our Russian comrades came through huge. I mean, they, you know, getting Putin involved. I mean, everybody, man, dinners and drinks. And the good thing is I'm tired of dinners and drinks now. So I get to get back to normal, hopefully, soon, man. It's just everybody. I mean, CPAL, we've been on the call every Saturday for the last, oh, my God, 7 months. You know, Rich Bender, Andy Barth, you know, I mean, just constant. Jim Ravenak, I mean, constant, you know, just so many people that it's impossible to mention everybody. But I tell you, if we didn't have a team effort in this, I mean, there's no way we won by one vote. So everybody counted. Every one vote, every person, everything counted, man. And, you know, the last 2 weeks, you know, when I flew down to Brazil, you know, I had to make sure I was there to see it happen, to make sure that, you know, everybody and everything we've done, it's on the line, man. Can't lose. You know, I couldn't come back and face Gable if we didn't get that win.
So tell me about the 10 minutes leading into the vote. What did it feel like for you?
What did you say, Kyle?
I said the 10 minutes leading into the vote. What did that feel like?
Oh, man. Your heart stops, you know, and it's just like you it's like the world stops. You ever look at the Matrix where like the world just stops and it freezes?
Yeah.
And you know the next uttered word, there's no smiles, it's going to be very bland and plain, and you just hope it's your name, it's your sport, it's your people, your country, your world. I mean, that's called. And, you know, when he said, you know, with 49 votes, wrestling, it was like a beacon of hope and light, and just shot across the world, you know. And you know, when I jumped up and Billy jumped up and Mama Shavili and Jim Ravenak and Zanad and Agali, I mean, it just, you felt like there were 20 and 30 million people in the room that jumped at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. And I think one of the questions we have to ask now is, as great of a moment as it is, how do we make sure we never get back in this position? Same question we'll ask Rich Bender, we'll ask to you.
We got to continue to innovate. So one thing about the IOC going forward, you know, they want new sports, right? So the two themes we ran on was a new wrestling and a revolution, right? Revolution within getting everybody together and really changing leadership, the rules, etc. I think we have to continue to innovate. If you do not continue to innovate, there's no way we will stay viable. So we have to continue to create options that they can increase more wrestling globally. And I think we have to continue to use and utilize our assets, you know, to do that, which are women, right, which is the fastest growing part of our sport right now. And there are a couple opportunities, I think, that exist for us to continue to drive that effort and getting new people involved, new leadership involved, creating that energy. It's all energy. If people are excited about things, they vote and are influenced by things. So as long as wrestling continues to be innovative, continues to have a television presence, continues to do exciting events, you know, maybe the next wrestling event is in the Red Square or the Vatican. You know, we've got to continue to do things like that. Get on NBC, prime time. Those things matter.
We've been talking with Noel Thompson, member of the Committee for the Preservation of Olympic Wrestling, also a member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Board of Governors. Always enjoy having you on. Last time was Mongolia. I don't know where you are today.
Well, thank God I'm in New York City, man.
You're in New York
I'm
City
in New York
today.
City, spent time with my wife, and off to Hungary next week.
All right, well,
that's what I was going to ask, if you're off to Hungary.
Yep, off to Hungary. So congratulations. Thanks for spending the time with us, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you much.
All right.